Sorry, ma'am, you're there. You're already live. We have to start. So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. I welcome you all for Beyond Education, inspiring stories to inspire the world. It is a unique talk show that invites people around the world to share their inspiring stories because we believe that inspiring stories are necessary, are required to motivate. Because when we share our stories, it actually makes us more human. Today we have with us a very unique personality, Professor Dr. Shauli Mukherjee, Director, School of Education and Associate Dean, School of Liberal Arts and Cultural Studies, Adams University in here. I welcome you, ma'am, for the show, for this unique talk show.
Thank you so much, Professor Qureshi. It's absolutely a pleasure being here on this platform today. And definitely, I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Thank you very much, ma'am. It's a pleasure having you. We are going to learn a lot from you. And before starting the interaction, I take this opportunity to introduce our guest speaker. With a purposeful career in the education space spanning over more than 20 years, Professor Shauli Mukherjee has dedicated her life towards promotion of child-centric and activity-oriented education. A passionate educationist and a global thought leader with a background of setting up and leading new age teacher schools, Dr. Mukherjee has been the founder principal of Adonis World and STEM World School, the first STEM school in West Bengal. Under her inspiring leadership, STEM World School has been ranked and awarded as the second best international day school in West Bengal by Education World. Dr. Mukherjee has also held senior academic and administrative positions in some of the reputed colleges of Bengal. She has been awarded for being among India's top 15 women leaders in the education industry and top 20 revolutionary education leaders by the Academic Council of ULEX. She is associated with premier educational organizations across India as well as globally in senior advisory capacity, and she is also recognized among 99 Women Achievers of India for the year 2021. She has been listed among the top 50 most courageous women in business, leadership, and entertainment in 2022. So, my dear viewers, this is actually in very short about Shauli ma'am. She has a longer list of achievements, and we'll be knowing more about her during the interaction. So once again, welcome now. And yes, of course, we have known till now that you're the director of School of Education. But before that, we would like to know something about your background, like where are you from, something about your school days and your family.
Yes. So first of all, I would like to thank you for that wonderful introduction. That was really exhaustive and that was not actually short. So it has been almost 23 years now that I have been associated with the education sector. I started off my career in the school education domain and had spent around 2 decades in the school education leadership and administration sector. Currently, I'm associated with the higher education domain, where I'm associated with one of the premier universities of Eastern India named Adams University. Well, to tell you about my background, I can only tell you that I have always wanted to be in the education sector. And in fact, I'm a person who has actually turned her passion into her profession. So I'm blessed and I'm happy for the work that I'm doing, because this is the kind of work which I have always wanted to do in my life. So definitely a question regarding background will also entail a little bit about self-reflection and introspection, because when we were young, we all we are confronted with this question that what would you like to do when you grow up, or what do you actually want to achieve in life? So whenever I face this question during my childhood and during my young days, I could never think of any other answer apart from being an educator. So now, why did this come to me at a very young age? Well, I will not be able to give you that answer. Maybe when I had been a child, it was almost like a kind of a fantasy, that I want to become a teacher. But when days and years passed by, I sort of realized that what kind of immense power and responsibility an educator has. And day by day, it started becoming a kind of a dream for me, almost like a passion. And as I told you, I feel privileged and blessed that even today, when I wake up in the morning, I wake up with a lot of positive energy to create a lot of difference around me only because I'm in this field.
Yes, of course, ma'am. I mean, I can feel the positivity just talking to you. That is, though we are talking online, but I can feel the positivity being with you. And now you have set up a STEM school, and as you told that it is the first STEM school in West Bengal. So how did this concept come into mind, and how is it running, or how is it different from other schools that we have?
A very interesting question. Yeah, of course, it's very, very different. It's different in the etiology, it's different in the implementation, it's different in the way in which we think. Well, if we have to speak about a STEM school, the most important and a kind of a preconceived notion that we all have about the acronym STEM. Yes, it stands for science, technology, engineering, and maths. True. But a STEM school is definitely not a school which only teaches the children these 4 disciplines. No, it is not so. In fact, the etiology is that of STEAM rather than STEM. When we say STEAM, we add another letter to STEM, and that is A. And A here stands for Arts and Humanities. So if we think now about the domains of science, tech, engineering, and technology, and the moment we bring in the concept of arts and humanities, now we know that the real STEM education is all about interdisciplinarity. It's all about breaking down the boundaries that exists among a lot of disciplines and subjects. It's about impressing the arts and humanities into the domain of science and technology. So the very first thing that I would like to talk about is about this kind of a mindset. So this is not a school which teaches the children only these 4 disciplines. It's rather something that trains the children in interdisciplinarity. That is the first thing. And the second thing about, the second most important thing about the concept of a STEM school is that it promotes a stress-free curriculum. The curriculum is not something that induces a lot of pressure and stress among the children. And here I must say, Dr. Qureshi, that stress among children is never, ever caused by any curriculum. It's rather caused by the kind of methodology that we use to teach that curriculum. So the method produces stress. It's never the curriculum, it's never the content. It's always about the way in which you teach that particular content. That creates stress among our children. So a STEM school promotes a stress-free curriculum. A kind of a curriculum where students learn by doing. It is activity-centric education. It's a play-way learning method that is being promoted. And the most important thing about the STEM school is that the happiness quotient of the children, it's exceptionally high. You know why? Because rather than only focusing on the intelligence quotient of the children, it also focuses equally on the emotional quotient. So it's a very good balance between IQ and EQ, which is the need of the hour. Very few people realize the fact that more than 80% of the success in our lives actually depend on our EQ and not on our IQ. And the saddest fact is that our current education system gives so much of importance to IQ, neglecting the emotional quotient or dimension. So a STEM school focuses on the EQ as well as IQ as a kind of a balance. And hence the happiness quotient, the passion quotient, the creativity quotient of the children, they're very high. So this is all about a STEM school. It's not about science, tech, engineering, and maths only.
Yeah, that's really very interesting to know because when I saw the word STEM, even I thought it was science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. But this is very interesting to know that you are working for the holistic development of the children. And one more thing that you said, the activities that you have, the child-centered activities and activity-oriented school that you have. Can you just tell some of the activities that you take in the school?
The activities are, let's see, when we talk about a phenomenon-based teaching learning, procedure. So a project-based learning or a phenomenon-based learning, the approach is very, very different. Let me just try to explain this by giving you one example, a very, very simple example. Supposing when a particular topic has to be taught, a teacher has a kind of a set pattern in his or her mind that, well, this is the syllabi, this is the content that I have to cover, and these are the things that I will be doing. So I will be completing the content, I will be taking a test, I will be marking the children, giving them few scores, the exams are done, my topic is completed. So this is a traditional way of approaching the teaching learning method. While in an exceptionally activity-centric education mode, each and every content will have a very, very different kind of a treatment. And surprisingly, we all know because we are all in the field of education, we all know that, when a content is being given to the teacher, and the teacher is being told that this is exactly what you have to teach in the class, the teacher has the full freedom and liberty to plan the lesson, to design the lesson, to plan the activities. But in an activity-centric education mode, the teacher is not only the deciding factor. The teacher may have some, plannings in his or her mind, but what exactly happens in the classroom dictates what exactly he or she will be doing. So it means it is a kind of a paradigm shift from a teacher-centric to a student-centric teaching learning mode. So how you will be teaching a particular concept or a topic, it completely depends on your students' likes, your students' preferences, your students' interest. Well, that's a great shift. Because since times immemorial, we have seen that a teacher is, she has the entire power. No, the power has to shift from the hands of the teacher to that of the students. Because whatever you are planning to deliver, that is for them. That's not for you. You are just a facilitator. You were just there to ignite the creativity. You are there to ignite that innovative spark among your children. You are not here to transmit the content from your head to the heads of the students. No, that is not the concept of an activity-centric and a student-centric education, if I have been able to make it clear.
Yes, ma'am, that's really amazing. Activity-centric education. But as you have already mentioned, you already said that most of the schools that are following, they're teacher-centric education or a curriculum is given and we are following that. So Next, I would like to know, did you face any kind of opposition from the parents or from the teachers for this? Because this is a new concept. And we have been into that, it's a, that, okay, teacher will come and teach something and go back to the staff room. So this change, obviously there has to be, at least when you started with it, I think there should be some opposition or the people were not able to adapt to it. There should be some kind of difficulties that you must have faced. So did you face any such situations?
Dr. Qureshi, it's not some kind of difficulties which I faced. I faced a lot of difficulties. So you have actually asked a very, very relevant question here, I must say. So if you're talking about challenges, obstacles, difficulties, oppositions, well, they all are understatements. I face them all, and in great quantum. Because, and I would also like to tell you this here. I would like to take this opportunity to tell you that people like us who are in the sphere of education trying to do something new, trying to bring in some new current of development and change, which 21st century world requires. Well, we mustn't be surprised by these oppositions. We must be prepared. You know why? Because our histories have changed, our geographies have also changed, but sadly enough, our education system has not changed. Our education system has still remained that essential byproduct of a 19th century industrial revolution, which still promotes a one-size-fits-all educational model. Everybody believes that you have one particular content to teach, you have a class of pupils, so you will be going there, you will be teaching them on the same day, the same topic, and preferably in the same way. Well, that cannot be the mold of a 21st century education. We really have to understand, because each and every child is born unique, with a unique blueprint. Each and every child is creative. Their likes, preferences, interests, passion, everything is different. So if that is so, if you all realize that, why do we still promote a kind of an education system which puts all of them in one box and tries to teach and tries to treat them, you know, as a finished product of an industry? So we are all going wrong. In the name of education, what we are actually doing, we are actually doing a disservice to our nation and to our future generation. Well, this has to stop. Now, it might sound nice that changes are required, this and that needs to be done. But I always believe and I always say that the first change that needs to happen is not in the curriculum, not in the method, not in the way of teaching, but the first change that needs to happen is in your mindset. Your mindset needs to be changed. And unfortunately, people who are working in this sphere, we all have to deal with so many restrictive mindsets. And they often come from parents, and very, very sadly. So you have asked me a very, very relevant question. You know, it's so difficult for most of the educators to learn, unlearn, and relearn. That process is very difficult. So if I have been told, I feel that should continue for the next 100 years. Well, how can that? The entire world has changed. We are in the 21st century. We are in a VUCA world. We are in a world which is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. How can that same traditional educational patterns continue to serve our young generation? It can't. So yes, if you have to ask me about The challenges, I face them like anything. I'm still facing them. It's not over. Whenever I think about something new or innovative or try to do something, implement it, I do face a lot of oppositions. But yes, Dr. Qureshi, I believe it's a journey. For a person who is very, very purposeful, if your purpose is clear, that why you are doing what you are doing, if your why is very clear, I always believe that your what and how will follow. So oppositions will be there. Challenges will be there. Difficulties, obstacles will definitely be there. But if your vision is very, very strong, you will definitely do it. And then at a later date, your actions will speak for you, not you.
Yes, obviously now. And yes, I asked this question because a few days ago I had one educator. She was also a director of a school. And she also has activity-based education. And she also told the same, actually, she told how the kind of challenges she faced, especially from the parents. Because the parents started saying that कि school में कुछ भी नहीं होता है, सिर्फ खेलकूद होता है. So that was the nature of the parents, and she used to get such comments. But now, after some 8 to 10 years of this, not a very old school, just some 10, 15 years, I think, the school has started. But the students, the way they are working, it is not that they are they are getting toppers and all, the district toppers and all, they might not be getting, but the students, wherever they are, the alumni of that school, they are at very good positions, so successful, they are at very small age. A person, a student is in the Forbes list. A student, she is the youngest author in the country, and also she has so many. That's a long list of, and that's all due to the activities based education that she has taken.
Yeah,
You also
Dr.
told-
Qureshi, that reminds me when you told me that the children only play, nothing happens. I mean, they don't study, they don't learn. I faced the same thing when I abolished homework in the STEM school. So in that STEM school, there is no concept of homework. Okay. So it was a completely project-based learning that happened in that school. And we believed that when the child goes back home, the child needs to spend quality time with the parents and the grandparents and the friends as well, because socio-emotional learning is also something which is very, very important, which is very much missing in these days. So it's not only cramming your head with a lot of facts and figures, but it's actually learning about life. It's learning about relationships. So how many of us can actually vouch very confidently and say that our young generation, they know how to maintain relationships. They know what is the value of relationships. How many of us can actually tell that? It's very, very difficult, especially when the family structure has changed from an extended joint family to a nuclear family setup, with both parents working and the child left all by himself or herself. The child spends almost the entire day with 1 or 2 gadgets. That is his or her life. So are we really thinking about the importance of socialization? Because when he or she will grow up, even in the work sphere, he or she has to work in collaboration with a lot of people. What about that child's communication skills? What about that child's ability to maintain and establish connections and relationships and bonds? Are we training our children on these things? So these aspects are very, very important. It's not about how much you're scoring in maths or how much you're scoring in history, how many facts and dates you can remember in history. It's more important for you to realize that whatever has happened in the past, that's a kind of a pattern. And why is that happened like that? So, what I'm trying to say is that the entire focus has to be very, very different. The focus has to shift from the content to the context. That is very important. So I faced the same thing when I stopped homework. I stopped all kinds of examinations till grade 2. So I faced a lot of questions. I faced a lot of oppositions that, the parents came with me. The parents came to me and asked me that, how are you promoting my child to the next grade? You haven't really taken an examination. A child has not sat for a 1-hour exam, grade 1 child. So a grade 1 child, according to them, needs to sit for a 1-hour written exam and has to get somewhere around 97, 98 or 99 out of 100. Then only that child is considered to be fit to be promoted to grade 2. So that was actually the concept that we are trying to knock down. So definitely it was not easy.
Of course, ma'am, that didn't happen easy. And really, you're doing a great thing. And especially that you told about for the first grade and the second grade, you just stopped all the exams. That is really very unique thing, because we feel that if we don't give exams, means we are not fit to go to the other classes. That's really a unique thing. And one more question, because you are an educator, the principal. So I would like to know, what is the role of parents in the education of their children?
A very, very important role, I must say. And in fact, it's not only my, thought pattern or belief. I think as educators, we all know that how important a parent's role is. So it's all about walking hand in hand. So your parent happens to be your first educator when you even start going to school. And on the contrary, the educator also performs a lot of roles which are very much, overlapping with parenting. So the role of parenting and the role of educating, these two roles are very close to each other, exceptionally close to each other. And if you see the statistics also, Dr. Qureshi, those children do very well in life whose parents had actually taken a very, very positive interest in his studies, in his activities that he's doing in the school, in his overall well-being. Because none of these work can be single-handedly done by a parent or by an educator. Because it is a misnomer, it's a misconception and a very, very deeply rooted preconceived notion that this much of work has to be done by a parent, after which the educator takes over. No. We have to understand that if your child is spending around 7-8 hours in a school, the rest of the hours is actually spending with you in the home. So if there is no continuity between what is happening in the school and what the kind of environment that the child is carrying back at home, the child will definitely feel confused that which way to go, or which one is correct for me, or what am I actually expected to do. So there has to be a continuity, and this continuity cannot happen automatically. It will only happen when an educator and a parent walks hand in hand.
Yes, now this is going to happen only when an education, the parent walks hand in hand. But here, because I work in a college, simply here I see that at the school level, the parents are very interested, they will be coming. But in the college, that was not seen. There are parents who in their 3-year, the 4-year of the curriculum of the graduation, not at least once they visit the college. And even though it has been mentioned that in a college there has to be a parent teachers meeting, and when we call for it, not even 10% of the parents will turn up. So what can be done for this?
Very
Because in the
true.
college also, it is
Yes,
required.
it is absolutely true, Dr. Qureshi. We also face the same. We also, even if it's a university, it's not a college, but even then, We, regularly hold parent-teachers meeting, and definitely the attendance of the parents is abysmally low. Very true. We also face the same thing. So it is not that the parents have lost interest in what their child is actually doing or want to do. It's not that. It's definitely not that. And it's also not because they want to show that they are giving a lot of, freedom and independence to their children. And so it's okay, fine, it's your life now. You deal with it. It's not that. At least, let me tell you, Indian parents are not like that. They're very, very interested in the career, in the educational activities of their word. Doesn't matter if the child is in grade 2 or the child is doing a PhD. But even then, the situation that you have told me, yes, that's very true. We also face that. See, I believe that a parent engagement plan is also very, very important. Why will the parent come in those meetings? What is actually happening in those meetings? That's also very important. So when in the school, when we used to, arrange the PTMs, we never used to arrange it like a one-way dialogue. It was never like that. So it was never like a parent used, because we have seen that in our school days. So the parent used to be called, the parent used to sit in front of the teacher, and the teacher used to say everything. And the parent was just sitting quietly and listening to everything that the teacher was saying. Okay. And 80% of it was kind of, complaint and negative feedback. And the parents actually never had a say. So that situation has changed, for sure. Now, even in the schools, the parents have a lot of say, which is good in a way. I think when schools organize PTMs, they really, think a lot as to how to engage the parents. What all activities should be done on that particular day? What needs to be showcased? Why should the parents come? What should the parents come and see what is happening? What should the parents learn on that particular day? If they stay back at home, they will not be able to know. So what is it that you are able to deliver? That's very important. In schools, we used to think about all these things a lot. In the higher education domain, unfortunately, we don't do that. We sort of organize a PTM because it has to be organized. That shouldn't happen. I think if we give a lot of focus and attention as to what kind of dialogue needs to be established between an educator and a parent, I think it becomes a wonderful relationship to cherish. And when eventually the parents start seeing a lot of value in what you are doing, they'll definitely come. Why won't they come? They will.
Yes, of course, we have to actually change the way we are thinking about PTMs at the higher education institutions. And if we do it in that way, like you were saying, obviously parents will be interested in coming. And that is required, because it is not just at the school level, that even at the higher education level, we need that the parents should come, they should know what their child is doing. It's really very important. And now, lastly, I would like to know from you something more about you. Like, who is your role model?
My role model, very difficult for me to answer this question because it keeps on changing. Because I have been inspired by a lot of people in my life, positively inspired by a lot of people in my life. Apart from that, I have also learned a lot of lessons from people around me who may not be termed as positive role models, but had been a great influence in my life. So See, I have a very different take on this question because I don't believe that only positive role models influence your life, but the other kind of people also influence your life. So I have been influenced and I have been, you know, touched by a lot of those kind of people and a lot of those kind of ethos that they exude. So for me, it was never one role model or something, but it had been a number of people who had actually influenced my life and had helped me in several occasions to think about something from a very different perspective, very, very different perspective. And I must tell you that I have learned the most important lessons in my life from my students. And I continue doing that. The lessons that they can teach you, I guess nobody else can do it. Nobody else. No books, no scriptures, nothing. They can teach you the lesson for life. You know why? Because they're so very, they're so mindful, which we are not. They're always in the present. So they can teach you invaluable lessons in life. And I have continued to learn a lot from them.
Yes, of course. We learn from our students a lot. And as you said, there are people who are actually negative, some kind of negative impact that they have on our life, but we learn from them a lot. There are a lot of lessons we learn, but most of the time we just focus on the people who have the very positive impact, but they are the greatest contributors, those who have negative impact in our life.
Absolutely.
Of course, we learn a lot. We learn a lot from them. And some of your, basically, I would like to know some of your future goals, any long-term, short-term goals that you must have set, either for your personal life or professional life, any of your goals.
Yeah, of course, there are personal life goals, there are professional life goals, definitely, yes. But in the professional front, definitely, I would like to say that I would love to continue the kind of work that I'm doing with the same zest, same energy, same vitality, and same vigor. Till date, I feel that I'm blessed because each and every morning I wake up with a lot of positive energy because it's always like, today, what should I do? It's like that. So I wish that this continues in my life and I get a lot of energy and positive vibrations from my Almighty to continue the kind of work which I believe will cause a lot of positive differences in the lives of the people around me. On the personal front, there are definitely a lot of goals. I'm a very, very imperfect kind of a person. So my goal is definitely not to become a perfect human being because none of us are perfect. But yes, there are a lot of things that I would like to work on myself because I believe that as human beings, we all have the power of introspection and self-reflection to think and to know what is going wrong and what is going right. And that is a kind of a journey, Dr. Qureshi, which is a very, very, what shall I say, it's a very personal journey. And it's a journey which you cannot share with anybody because that is only your journey and you need to walk that path. So yes, definitely on personal front, a lot of things which I believe that I need to work and invest on myself.
Yeah, that is really great now. And it was really great interacting with you among so many new things and learning, not just knowing, but learning so many new things from you. And before ending the session, I would like you to just give few tips to the educators to improve their teaching methods. Just few tips from you.
Well, I would only like to say that I believe that a 21st century educator has two qualities, or they should rather have two qualities. One is they should have a beginner's mindset. A beginner's mindset is a kind of a mindset which allows you to be grounded and humble, which allows you to learn from everyone around you. That's a beginner's mindset. And a beginner's mindset begins with the fact that I do not know it all. For me, there is a long way to go, and I have to learn from everyone and from every situation in life. So in short, I'm talking about lifelong learning, which a 21st century teacher must have. And the second thing is, along with a beginner's mindset, a 21st century educator must have that questioning spirit. He or she has to have that courage to ask a lot of questions about almost everything around him or her, which they feel is not working anymore. We should not be accepting each and everything on their face value. Just because it has happened in the last 100 years, I have to accept everything. No, that should not be the mindset of a 21st century educator. They must have that burning, I would say that strong yearning to challenge and to question everything around them. They must always ask questions. So might sound a bit contradictory, because beginner's mindset, where you have to learn from people, and at the same time questioning each and everything. That's not working anymore. But I believe these are the two qualities which can help a 21st century educator evolve into their truest and their most authentic version of themselves.
Yeah, really, ma'am. Very good. So actually, my dear viewers, you're listening to Dr. Shauli Mukherjee, Director, School of Education. And two very important tips given there here, that every educator of the 21st century should be having a beginner's mindset and a questioning attitude. So they're a really great tips from you, ma'am. And thank you for joining with us and sharing your knowledge with us on our unique talk show, Beyond Education. Thank you very much, ma'am. And before leaving, I would also like to thank the founder of IDYM Group of Companies, Engineer Ravi Shankar, sir, because without him, this wouldn't have been possible. It was his unique concept which we are bringing into action. Of course, there are two very beautiful ladies working behind the screen always. Our CEO, Dini Rasmi, and CMD, Zeenat now. So thank you one and all, directly and indirectly associated with the show. Thank you, ma'am. Good night.